Discipline isn't about willpower. It's about one shift Krishna taught on a battlefield 3,000 years ago, and almost nobody applies it the way he meant it. This is the first of 7 teachings from the Bhagavad Gita, translated out of scripture and into something you can actually use this week. No chanting, no belief required, just 7 ideas about how a disciplined mind actually works and what to do with each one starting today. Nothing here asks you to believe anything about karma or the divine. Think of it as a decision-making manual for your worst days, tested for 3,000 years. The first teaching is about where the real fight is. Most people treat a lack of discipline like a character flaw, something missing in them that disciplined people simply have. Krishna says the opposite. In chapter 6, verse 5, he tells Arjuna that a person must lift themselves by their own mind because the mind can be a person's friend or it can be their enemy. There is no outside villain. The resistance you feel before a hard task is not a sign you lack discipline. It is the terrain the work happens on. Stop waiting to feel like a disciplined person before you act like one. Today, that means picking the one task you've been avoiding and starting it for 2 minutes, not because you feel ready, but to prove the mind can be led instead of obeyed. This reframe alone changes what failure means. A missed day isn't proof the enemy won permanently. It's one exchange in an ongoing negotiation with yourself. The second teaching is the most famous line in the entire text and the most misunderstood. Chapter 2, verse 47, you have a right to your actions, never to the results of those actions. People hear this as an excuse to stop caring. It means the opposite: care enough to act fully, then let go of the part you were never in control of anyway. Most discipline collapses not from laziness, but from checking the scoreboard too early. Do the work. Release your grip on how it turns out. That release is what lets you keep showing up tomorrow. Practically, that might mean finishing the workout without checking your heart rate every 10 seconds, or sending the message without refreshing the screen for a reply. The action is complete the moment you've done it fully. People who quote this line to justify apathy usually stop reading after the first half. The verse doesn't excuse inaction, it excuses anxiety about results, while still demanding full effort. The third teaching explains why one bad day feels like proof you've failed. In chapter 2, Krishna describes pleasure and pain, gain and loss as passing contact, temporary by nature, and tells Arjuna to learn to endure them without being shaken. A missed workout, a bad meeting, a day you didn't stick to the plan, none of it is a verdict on who you are. It's weather. Treat a single setback as data, not identity, and discipline survives contact with a bad week. Tonight. If today went badly, write down what actually happened, not what it means about you, and start again tomorrow exactly on schedule. This isn't about pretending bad days don't hurt. It's about refusing to let one data point rewrite the entire pattern. The fourth teaching is about where discipline actually comes from. Chapter 6, verse 35. The mind is restless and hard to control, Krishna admits, but it is mastered through 2 things: repeated practice and letting go of attachment. Not motivation, not a personality trait you either have or don't. A trained skill built the same way any skill is built, by doing the small rep again, especially on the days you don't want to. That's why the smallest version of the habit, 1 page, 1 set, 1 minute, matters more than the ambitious version you only manage when you feel inspired. Motivation, by contrast, is weather too. It shows up uninvited and leaves the same way. Practice is what remains when it's gone. The fifth teaching corrects a common mistake people make once they do get serious. Chapter 6, verses 16 and 17. Krishna says yoga is not for someone who eats too much or too little, sleeps too much or too little, and that regulated habits in eating, recreation, work, and rest are what actually destroy suffering. Discipline is often imagined as punishment, pushing through on no sleep, no rest, no room. Krishna teaches the opposite. Sustainable discipline runs on regulated rhythm, not extremes. Burnout is not a sign of commitment. It's a sign the pace was wrong. A useful check is simple. If your only two settings are all-out effort or total collapse, the pace needs adjusting before you abandon the habit completely. Krishna is not describing indulgence here. He is describing calibration, the same rhythm an athlete uses to train for years instead of burning out in one season. The sixth teaching addresses the story people tell about themselves. In chapter 3, verse 30, Krishna tells Arjuna to surrender his actions with his mind fixed on what matters, and to act without the anxious sense of being the sole owner of the outcome. When you fail once and conclude I am simply not a disciplined person, you've confused an action with an identity. Krishna's instruction is narrower than that and easier. Don't manage your identity. Manage the next single action in front of you. This distinction matters most after a failure, when the mind rushes to generalize one action into a permanent verdict about your character. The seventh teaching ties the other six together because Krishna doesn't just describe discipline once. He names 3 different kinds of it. In chapter 18, verses 33 through 35, he describes steady resolve that comes from a calm, controlled mind, resolve that comes from clinging to duty and reward out of desire, and resolve that is really just stubbornness, refusing to let go of fear, grief, or sleep out of dullness. Only the first kind lasts. If your discipline feels like gritted teeth and anxiety, it is not yet the kind Krishna is describing. The steady kind feels calm even when the task is hard. Before you start tomorrow's task, notice which kind you're bringing to it. That single check is the difference between discipline that lasts and discipline that quietly burns out by next month. Most people can force the third kind, gritted teeth stubbornness, for a few weeks. Almost nobody mistakes it for peace. That's the first shift. The next video covers what Krishna told Arjuna to do the moment discipline actually fails.